A very good afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to see so many happy, smiling faces here, all enthusiastic to participate in this InnoHEALTH 2022, a very timely organized event. So, congratulations to all the organizers for putting this together. Now, IIIT Delhi is always committed to giving back to society. Being socially relevant is one of our vision statements. We set up this Center for Healthcare about 2 years back. Tav leads this center, and it has been taking enormous strides all along. More than 10 faculty members are associated with this Center of Excellence in Healthcare, useful initiative by the center. Plus, they have been doing high-tech research, AI-driven genomic surveillance, which I think helped them predict the surges of pandemic about 2 months in advance. That was a phenomenal job done by their team. Also, some of the solutions are being tested in ICU in INS, which tells us the fact that they are trying to make a difference on the ground. The pandemic has indeed shown us that the country needs a transformative change in healthcare right from the bottom to the top of this. And AI, of course, is not just a buzzword. Lot of useful, effective things are done. In fact, AI has been hailed as a tool which makes impossible things possible. Earlier, we knew how to do it, but we just couldn't do it because the tools were not efficient enough. But now we have progressed both in terms of algos and the implementation and the technology to make this happen. AI will transform the way medical science and healthcare transforms our lives by transforming healthcare itself. AI, of course, will also have certain questions associated with it, including the ethical part, because right now, the humans and the machines together are there, but then there will be a time when only machines take those decisions. So we have to be seeing who is taking responsibility for those decisions and how. I'm also happy to share that IIIT Delhi has also started this Medical Robotics Center, which is a synergy of humans and robots, which will help train doctors to conduct robotic surgery. So that is a separate initiative other than the Center for Healthcare. So we have engines firing. We're trying to make a transformative change and make the best of the circumstances provided to you. So I will not take much time. I again invite all of you to participate actively in this workshop and exchange. Plus, we would like to, appreciate the fact that collaboration is appreciated at all ends here, and we will be forging new collaborations today in terms of some MOU signing. So I would also like to welcome formally Dr. Vishnu Rao.
He's just entered campus.
Okay, so he's on his way, and we are eager to interact with him. Of course, Dr. K Srivastava is here, and he has been instrumental with the Wish Foundation initiative that IIIT Delhi is there. And of course, Dr. Jaanus, Pikani, thank you so much for being with us. And he's from Tallinn, and I had the good fortune of spending a summer in Tallinn, beautiful city, Tallinn, Tartu, beautiful places in Estonia. So welcome, Dr. Pikani, once again to IIIT Delhi. With that, I hand over the mic to Tav and take the things forward. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking brief ideas and the contribution of AI in pandemic, during pandemic, and revolution in healthcare. With this, we would request Dr. V K Singh for his insightful, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dignitaries on the dais and the participants. It's a pleasure to have this conference in IIIT Delhi. Today there are 250 people who are registered. Half of them are enjoying the setup here, taking photographs of Christmas and etc. I've been from the government myself all through my life. I was Admiral of the Navy, doctor by profession. But this government institution gives the feeling it is not a government institution, but a corporate institution. It is so well organized, cleaned up and set up. We have taken up the cause of knowledge platform, and that is what the institutions we have created in the InnovatioCuris and Foundation. This is just to tell what doctors, nursing people, and allied health professionals, they need updated knowledge. Doctors somehow manage their knowledge, but it is the nursing people as per the people in the government has said they need to be updated. So we recently created a forum, and I'm glad some of them are already participating. One of them is a national innovator in cardiac of the nursing part. We have also got the Young Innovator Award, which will be there tomorrow. There was a lot of people who have applied, and ultimately some cash prizes have been taken for them. We have done market access. We have done the training. We were there. We were recently talking. Cybersecurity in that Prime Minister's office. And the national coordinator has told us, Sachin, my partner and double master from Europe, on the cybersecurity, and we have already done some of these courses with PHFI. With AIDS having problem of the ransomware, this will be useful. Though doctors never showed any interest when we started teaching them 2 years back, but I presume now it should be taking more interest on that. We are really grateful that we have been allowed to use the premises and collaborate with the IIIT, and so request that such collaboration will continue for next year to next year, and we have advantage of your expertise. We will have next year, this time we were hesitant to have hybrid or physical or any such mode, but we decided in 2 months' time to go physical setup. Next year I declare 13th and 14th of October Delhi, and those who register will circulate it around. We give them 50% discount right now. So, and I earnestly request if IIIT can continue such collaboration, depending on their commitment. We have really thought that health has been neglected for quite some time by successive governments, etc. God permit everything will happen, etc. And adversary of the COVID has taught us many things. How logistic limitations that air was going to be flown for simple things like oxygen. How market was treating people. How doctors were unaware of them. And this is how it has led into many such positive thinking. Always with a good learning, the mode of online, IIT, 5G, digital health, etc. This has also caused the problem of cyber security, which you can see. It is health economics say every war gives a development. So is every epidemic. There are my colleagues which I am a part of disaster management. We have developed manuals and manuals of national emergency plan and disaster. They were in the shelves, they were never tried. It is now like Army Way, the real drainage is tried, and we know where, how we are. And it's a good thing that has waken up the country and also everyone, and resources that we cater, and many things that we happening. As Vishnu has just now said so, G20 has set an agenda, and there are 3 points in that. First one is affordability, etc. Second one is the preventive part, and third is digital health. And our thinking would be, that is why we took the digital health, which is also really gearing up, and I'm sure with like Prime Minister, Sabka Saath, etc., and our politicians, and we can take it forward, and we will take. And I'm glad there's a mixture of IT people, management people, students, nurses, all are participating. tomorrow there are 350 who are registered for tomorrow. So that shows how interested the people. And once again, thankful to IIIT, IIIT, and staff for keeping the venue here. And we are really grateful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful insights. We would like to introduce Dr. K Srivastava, a Senior Advisor for Innovations in Public Sector Health Wish Foundation, who is here with us.
We have Dr. M. Vishnu Vardhana with us over here.
Hi. Dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, and the delegates from the different practicing areas, nursing, medical, engineering, IT. So this is a very good gathering. Majority of the person who are sitting here belong to the younger generation. And that is a plus point. It is a bad thing that only old persons are talking, but I am sure that in due course of time, you will interact with some type of useful message which will be transmitted by this old generation to you, and build up a future where digital health will become a useful tool for future delivery of health, where nobody will be left behind, where everybody will get full health care, and all avoidable death could be avoided by better utilization of the technology which is being provided by the digital health. And this is where this particular meeting or conference, whatever you are calling it, is relevant. I addressed a gathering similar to this, I think about 2 or 3 years back, when I talked about technology and technology integration in the primary healthcare. It was my impression, I am not sure what the person sitting on the other side were feeling, that it was well received. I will share few things with you. First thing is, the period of denial and negation for digital health has gone. It has gone because of so many factors which are known to everybody sitting over here. But there was a lot of contribution from government side, government initiative. And more so, I would try to appreciate the initiative from the PMO office. Health sector is a very rigid sector, and practicing doctors are very, very difficult to penetrate and accept newer things. So when I say that period of denial is over, I say that the doctors have started accepting digital health as a better delivery mode or almost similar delivery mode if they are otherwise practicing in their day-to-day healthcare facilities. Maybe a OPD, maybe a inpatient, maybe operation theater, maybe the labs where diagnostic tests are being conducted, maybe the various equipments which they are using for higher type of radiology and imaging. So doctor has started accepting that this is something which is going to transform. Dr. V K Singh used the word transformation. And transformation is taking place. And it is taking place by a collective action of government and the public. And the academic institution like IIIT, they are all collectively moving towards one direction, and a platform is being provided by Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. We have to know it. We have to see what are the three basic ingredient components of this mission and how we can push the newly developed technology to be tested and verified by the government so that it is taken up by the private sector to bring it to the market and sell it in volume which will contain the cost. That is where this young generation is important for us. They are the doers. Some are coders, some are AI experts, some are engineers, some are public health experts. They have got different level of innovation for digital health. By mutual integration, they will try to do away with it. The second thing which I will try to share with you is regarding the value of the partner. We luckily had a very recent partnership with IIIT by getting a project from the World Health Organization, which is trying to create some type of digital health solutions at the managerial level in primary health care so that the decision-making process is improved, the wasteful expenditure is avoided, the unquality health delivery products are eliminated, and the patient-centric type of healthcare services are delivered quick and fast, and the best and smart use of the government allocated budget of that. So that is a project, small project, 15-month project, but this is beginning of a partnership between an NGO who is working in the primary healthcare, a technical institution, and duly supported by World Health Organization. It was a globally competed product. It is not like this that I went to somebody and requested him and he gave us. We have applied for it, we have achieved. So these type of partnerships are important for us, important for IIIT, important for WHO, all depends on us. And we believe that you are the talent who are here. And if we can deliver good, there are better things ahead in the future. So this is second component which I want to share, that partnership is very essential. Partnership with government, partnership with international organization, partnership with various technology groups. Recently we had a global digital health summit in Vardhana. Where from Microsoft, from Azure, from everywhere the persons were there. And they are looking at India to provide certain type of solution which is business sense for them, and we are looking at them to provide a certain type of knowledge translation which has got the primary healthcare sense for us. So it is a relationship between two of us which is based on a very solid and robust partnership. Your product delivers the various projects will give us entry into these partnerships. And the third thing is that health cannot operate in silo now. Center of Excellence like Indian Institute of Medical Sciences have realized it. About 15 years back, they developed a biodesign center in Stanford. Now they have built up a center of assistive technology, which is housed in AIIMS and partnering with all IITs and trying to create an end-to-end product. End-to-end products which otherwise is imported by other countries. We have taken up one or two products. So these partnerships are creating research center of excellence to create an end-to-end healthcare product. We will cut down the cost, definitely have a better maintenance system. But what is more needed and more needed through you is that you create a small center of excellence in primary healthcare. Small. 10 villages, 20 villages, duly connected closer to the community type of primary healthcare, supported by the digital health. QR-based connectivity, domiciliary care, all innovations, mobile health, technology integrated within it. And one leader doing it. One gentleman sitting here has done it in his area. It is sustainable. It is self-supporting. It is viable. It is profit technology. So these are the models which are scattered here and there in this country. The only thing is to connect them really. These are the only 3-4 things which I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much for giving me some time.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to say the young generation is all prepared to work and bring changes in the healthcare system. Are we? Yes. Thank you. I would now request Dr. Vishnu Vardhana Rao to share his insights. Scientist and Director, ICMR. NIMS.
Hello. So, thank you very much. Seti Pati Shetji is good friend of me and the team. I'm very humbled to be invited here. I'm really elated to speak to the students. Almost 1.5 years हो गया students से बात करके. So because we are in the research. So thank you very much, sir, for inviting me. So I just present my ideas and I just I keep the base of these for tomorrow's and today afternoon's sessions. So what we are doing. Okay. Thank you very much. This is so I think you know this man. One of you among you also can become like this. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. That's what I'm going to do now. For coming 15 minutes. So, I am also a statistician by profession. A physicist, an engineer, and a statistician are on a hunting trip. They are walking through the woods when they spot a deer in the clearing. The physicist calculates the distance to the target, the velocity, and drops the bullet, adjusting and fires, missing the deer by 5 feet to the left. Similarly, the engineer also frustrated, forgot to account for the wind, and after licking his finger to determine the wind speed and direction, the engineer snatches the rifle and fires, missing the deer by 5 feet to the right. Then suddenly, without firing a shot, the statistician cheats. Woo, we got it. Left plus right by 2 is the middle. That's what the average says. But what you are going to do as the artificial intelligence engineers, you are going to fill that gap, that prediction. So, generally we talk about averages. No? Did you hear the one about the statistician who had his head and oven and spit in a bucket of ice? When asked how he felt, he replied on average and feel just fine. So, the average doesn't give you the meaning. So, as a artificial intelligence, whatever the program, you have to identify that. And also sometimes fractions will confuse you. Many of you are confused with the fraction interpretation. So, I'm just before going that, I want to. Health Minister was intrigued by the statement in the report submitted by the statistician that 3.2% out of 1,000 suffering from a disease died during the last year. He asked his private secretary and scolding everyone how 3.2% can die, and how 3 can die, 4 can die, 5 can die. Then the intelligence secretary interpreted like this. Sir, when a statistician says 3.2% died, he means that 3% actually died and 2 are at the point of death. So it is not like that, no? So it will happen while you are doing calculations. Therefore, the difference between the statistics and the artificial intelligence is this. How many of you say that this is right? How many of you say this is wrong? So the gap, the silver gap between, line between the right and wrong is you have to do that. So I was telling to you, we have started 3 decades back a simple hypothesis. Now we come into evidence-based medicine, and we have got conventional statistics to multivariate and advanced statistics. Small competition, say 2.5 decades back or 3 decades back, to now AI and big data analytics. So a lot of changes have been happening. So coming to the digital revolution, the digital data and artificial intelligence, dividends of the 4th industrial revolution we can call, will create better healthcare outcomes. Today, 30% of world's data is healthcare data, and by 2025, it will increase to 36% annually. To gain the trust required for broader adoption, artificial intelligence in care must follow three principles. You have to follow three. One is responsible use of data and algorithms, functional competence, also transparency around technology's limitations. So already AI-driven health solutions have proven more efficient and have become more effective, though the challenges remain in scaling up these technologies. So the statistics says that spending on artificial intelligence healthcare is projected to increase by 48%. It has started in 2017, they estimated. By 2023, it will go to 48%. And if you see areas of impact of artificial intelligence in health, because I come from ICMR, early detection, research, decision making, diagnosis, treatment, as well as time. So if you see the chronic health conditions expected to benefit most of our AM, artificial intelligence and machine learning, almost diabetes 66%, heart disease 63%, cancer 63%, infectious disease 48%. These are the applications which we are having now. If you see a AI and digital health mobile app, so many mobile apps, you know that. So booking appointments, mostly there is a mobile app, 47%. And 38% diet and exercise. This is everyone will see this. Everyone wants to be in good shape and good everything. So messaging with medical services only 23%. These are the applications of apps you get. The top 10 healthcare trends and innovations in 2022, artificial intelligence is leading by 18% and genomics is by 5%. So, since I am also heading the Medical Statistics Institute, though we do a lot of big data analytics, what is the statistics and what is the machine learning? Statistics emphasizes on average, which I told you. The goal is, machine learning goal is the operational effectiveness and less need to specify what need to go into the model. So, probably most of the artificial intelligence are also evolved from statistics but gave different names. So, for example, in statistics we call estimation, you call as learning. We call classifier, you call hypothesis. We call data point, you call example. We call regression, you say supervised learning. We call classification, you call supervised learning. We call principal component analysis and cluster analysis, you call unsupervised learning. We call covariate, you call feature like. So these are all evolved, but we have given different names and we are going ahead much than statistics, I know that. So now the data explosion of big data. Clive Humby, a British mathematician, coined the phrase data is the new oil. You all know that oil-rich Gulf nations transformed from camel to Cadillac car. 50 years back, they were traveling on camels. Now, everyone have 5-6 Cadillac cars or Benz cars because of the oil. Similarly, the data-rich nations is going to happen coming decade. So, India is one among them. So, you know that every day, these many 2.5 quintillons of data has been generated every day. So, therefore, how much data, open source data, you have a lot of scope as a AI or big data analyst to do many things. So also Niti Aayog National Strategy for AI prioritizes principles of privacy, ethics, security, fairness, transparency and accountability, as well as alignment with the rights afforded by the Indian Constitution. India is founding a member of the Global Partnership of AI Alliance also, and keeping with the ethical and responsible standards, these principles must be applied in practice as the technology scales up. So, before I end, the former Secretary of Defense, USA, says that 3 points to remember. Known knowns. With rich data, machine prediction can work well. Known unknowns. We know our predictions will be relatively poor in situations where we don't have much data. Unknown unknowns. If something has never happened before, a machine cannot predict it, at least without human careful judgment. So these are the things as a budding specialist, you should remember these. So you all know big data and an AI platform does all these things, which we do predictive analytics, prescriptive analysis, diagnostics, and also we basically use linear discriminant function where to discriminate between two groups of data or two sets of data or two patterns of data. Similarly, the cluster analysis also does that, how I just feed the data to the computer. I ask the data, hey, you are homogeneous. I have any patterns. If you have patterns, it will come out as clusters. Again, you will read, you will explore why that pattern has formed. So therefore, what are the threats of AI? Less accuracy, less control, less privacy. Or if implemented responsibly, AI can benefit society. However, as is the case with most emerging technologies, there is a real risk that commercial and state use has a detrimental impact on human rights. So these are the AI risks which we can have. AI is ineffective when data is sparse, incorrect data can fool prediction, manipulated for destruction behavior, prediction from AI can lead to discrimination. These are all the threats. Everywhere there is risk. So what DHR or ICMR is doing? So we have created ICMR also created artificial intelligence cell with the rationale of providing policy direct uniform guidance for AI in healthcare, coordinate and collaborate with stakeholders, develop regulatory and policy framework. And in this aspect, we are moving, and we already created artificial ethical guidelines of artificial intelligence. Probably a week after the Secretary DHR DGISMR is releasing these guidelines, which would mostly will help what are the ethical part of artificial intelligence when you are developing a program. And also we recently we have advertised for the projects and we gave projects 6 projects for diagnostics, 5 clinical care, 1 therapeutic, 5 preventive and screening, and 1 epidemiology. These are 18 projects which we have ICMR has sanctioned with the budget of around 10 crores. So everything rally rounds on data. If data is not quality, good quality, then you will not get the good what you call application or good prediction. So therefore, in this aspect, we also released the data quality guidelines book to 1 year back, which is available in NDPF website, National Data Quality Forum website. It is freely downloadable. So thank you very much for giving. Finally, it is the idea which makes you. So without idea, nothing is possible. So with the idea, only we can do something. I just give you a funny example. The idea is one, or a book is the idea. How 3 people became the billionaires. So this is the book. So one idea, 3 billionaires. One, by writing books. You know her, J.K. Rowling. She became billionaire by writing books. He became billionaire by reading books. He became billionaire by selling books. But book is the common, but every 3 people have become that. So that is the idea you should have. As a budding student, so you should have the idea to go ahead, and your limit is sky because this is emerging technology, and coming 2 decades belongs to you. Thank you very much. All the very best. Thanks for the organization.
About the role of ICMR in changing health sectors, states in the world right now, and role of AI. Now I would like to welcome Dr. Jaanus Pikani.
It's my utmost pleasure and honor to be here. It's not the first time I'm attending this wonderful conference, and the cooperation with InnovatioCuris has been long-standing. Scanbalt has been in close cooperation for many years, and there has been very many wonderful projects coming out this time. Maybe I will give you a couple of words about Scanbalt, which is a organization around the Baltic Sea. Baltic Sea is operating in the northern part of Europe, and it's connecting, not dividing several countries, starting from Sweden to east to Estonia, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and northern Germany. So this organization has been around already more than 20 years, and the main reason to start this was that all these countries are small, especially if you compare to India, are very small. If you take like Sweden, 10 million population, that's very often, if we are in a global arena in and as you might think, if you compare these countries to the bigger biotech life science valleys, then actually we might be on the radar screen. And then the representatives of those countries of clusters came together and organized themselves to cooperate. And since then, this organization has been active. Initially in genomics and biobanking was the buzzword, but now through recent years it has turned more to the health technologies, especially medical informatics, data, and data. So this is a membership organization. The members are clusters, so it means that actually this organization has hundreds of members, so it's 19 cluster members. And today our main focus, as I said, is on bioeconomy, which means sustainable development, mainly, and the other main activities we have a special director, which we are working in two main directions. One is in Europe. We are very actively engaged in cross-border health data exchange and use of health data for primary purposes and for secondary purposes. And so saying this is that the quantum data space is now started like 5 or 6 years ago, and this is a project where the European Commission and the countries are very engaged, and also Scanbalt is there. That's why, and the other is digital therapeutics, and that's why Scanbalt is very happy for the next event today, is an inaugural session to signing the MOU with IIIT, because this is an outstanding organization, and we had yesterday a good thorough discussion with Dr. Tartu, and we see a lot of common interest which can be to this, I will continue my inauguration introduction. More will come later in the session.
I hand you the mic to Richard.
Thank you so much, sir. We have Mr. Margus Solnson, Deputy Head, Mission Estonian Embassy, India.
Bring my apologies, we went to the wrong address first, and just wanted to show you one small YouTube clip of Estonian InnoHEALTH system. That's the first to find it. Allow me to again say thank you for this wonderful opportunity, and it's indeed an honor to be in this good company of esteemed academic and IT circles, and it's not only me today here, and I see that you have the privilege to listen also Mr. Jaanus who is my countryman. But before I go any further, I just wanted to play a small clip from the Estonian InnoHEALTH.
Where is the best place for health innovation? In Estonia, a land with a unique digital ecosystem where 100% of clinics are connected. all the data is equally accessible for healthcare providers and citizens. The eHealth system integrates all healthcare providers and shares defined medical documents for all patients. The system incorporates electronic health records, digital image sharing, digital prescriptions, and a variety of other eHealth applications. Today, more than 99% of prescriptions are issued and transferred digitally. It allows access to medical data online in a secure and trusted way. No data leaks or serious privacy violations have been reported since its implementation. 10 years of real e-health experience has made Estonia a unique platform for fast implementation of future e-health services. Our expertise is guaranteed through the dedicated e-health curriculum where future e-health implementers are created, the first of its kind in Europe. Come and collaborate with our universities, clinics, industry and startups. Launch your next big e-health idea to Europe.
With this positive feeling, I just wanted to put my attention on two aspects on Estonia, if you wish to know about us more. First of all, the platform itself. So nothing happens in case there is no good soil or no good ground. So in this case of Estonia, the ground was readiness to adapt electronic solutions. Readiness also have the good legal part that the laws are in place. But all in all, Estonia, after the regaining its independence, started to build up the economy, and then we had also built up the IT systems. And what helped Estonia was that we have the proximity to Nordic countries. So somewhere by the beginning of 90s, in the middle of 90s, we had a quick technology transfer and also IT technology transfer from Nordic capitals to Estonia. Some of them which reached Central Western Europe even later. And around 97, 98, we had educational IT reform, which was called Pikani, which was followed then by many different adaptations of IT and e-technologies like e-health, e-services, e-customs, e-tax department, etc. If we're speaking about more on specifically on e-health, then indeed e-health is something that demands good communications, but also demands a good legal atmosphere. In case of Estonia, we have had opportunity to adapt from the very beginning laws that give the rights and obligations both for the patient, for the hospitals, and also for the state. And certainly the data which are received from the patient are kept securely. So again, in order to create something, you have to have the connections, you have to have the legal basis, and you also have to have the readiness of participants of all these networks. So the patients, the hospitals, the health authorities, so all those combined help in a way to get Estonia where we stand at the moment. Nothing is certainly perfect, so there is a lot of learn from each other. And indeed, we are learning from India a lot. Hopefully, it also works the other way around. I know that IT companies from India have worked in the Nordic countries already for some 40, 30 years. And also we have the privilege to have geo-reliance and data consultancy services in Estonia already for some 5 years. So we are hope that the Indian companies who have stepped to Estonia, they will feel this atmosphere friendly and nurturing. So and again to give it the extra boost to have this cooperation growing in also other fields. And just actually last week we had a meeting again with our friends in Mumbai with Geo and with Tata TCS. So we praise also their work and also inviting other companies from India to found Estonia as a friendly partner in the European ground. But I will stop here And again, I wish you a successful event and always stay at your disposal in Delhi. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, sir. Indeed, a very kick start session for the day. Requesting Dr. V K Singh to felicitate Professor Ranjan Bose. For all the speakers to have their seats.
So we would request every panelist to take the seat over there.
Ceremony. I would request Registrar Professor Mohania, IIIT Delhi, to come upon the stage. Dr. Jaanus Pikani and Registrar Professor Mohania.
Please give a loud round of applause. With this, we come to the end of our inaugural ceremony. Tea time is the one where tea time is something where the magic lies of our mind. So we will proceed for refreshment and tea break, and we'll assemble back right at 3:30. Tea will be served at R&D block A003 building. But we assemble back at 3:30.
Am I audible? Firstly, thank you so much for having me here. It's always delightful talking to young minds. Without much further ado, I'll quickly introduce the TRI cluster to you. So TRI stands for Delhi Research, Implementation and Innovation. It's an initiative of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India on the recommendation of the Prime Minister's Science and Technology Advisory Council. The logo there is for TRI. Now, what is TRI? So TRI basically is the Science and Technology cluster, which is supposed to bring together industry, academia, and government bodies to take innovations from lab to market. So basically, it's a platform bringing together all the stakeholders that can work on taking innovations through various stages and scaling them up and bringing them to the end user. Now, the concept of these clusters may be new to India, but it is very, very well established in the West and has been working very well. One of the biggest examples of such a cluster is Silicon Valley, but there are smaller clusters that exist both across Europe and other parts of the US. And that's exactly what we want to bring to India as well. India aspires to be a $5 trillion economy in a few years. And not only that, particularly with the G20 president, it has to do it in a sustainable manner, which takes care of the environment. Therefore, the objective of our cluster is to leverage science and technology to bring about this balanced growth, economic development, but on the pillars of sustainability. Therefore, our focus thematic areas where we work on are all aligned with national missions and UN SDGs, like waste to wealth, water security, air pollution, green energy, AI/ML in healthcare, e-mobility, public transport, and effective education. Now, reason why I'm telling you all this is, although there's a link to AI and ML in healthcare, but like the previous speakers were talking to you, we have to see things in a more holistic manner, in a more integrated manner. Unless we take a multidisciplinary approach, and unless we first look at the context and then operate, we would not be able to create fruitful solutions. Now, there are 100 plus members of DRIVE as of now. We started with a cluster of purely academic institutes. DRIVE is headquartered at IIT Delhi. IIIT Delhi is one of the main members of the cluster. Other members are organizations like NIMS, government CSIR, laboratories, and some private institutions as well. We are bringing now more and more corporates into the picture, NGOs, startups, MSMEs, anybody and everybody who can play a role in taking innovations from lab to market. Few successful examples of the innovations that have come out of this cluster, and this cluster has been operational for just over 1.5 years, almost 2 years, but still we have had some very early wins, and I'm very glad to share that some of the most shining examples that have come out of the cluster are from your institute. So, firstly, Professor Sethi's work that Professor Bose was also mentioning earlier, as part of the DRIVE initiative, has been early detection of COVID, which can be extended to any other infectious diseases. So we have developed an NVHM compliant platform on top of which various models can be built, AI/ML models can be built, that can predict any spike, genomic sequencing, any spike in the change, and that can be done up to 2 months in advance. So that gives enough lead time to policymakers to take action, any remedial action that needs to be taken, as we learned from COVID. And this does not only apply to COVID, it can be extended to any other infectious diseases before they turn into pandemics. Another example, which is not related to healthcare, but is AI/ML driven, that comes from your institute, was done by Professor Pikani in the area of public mobility. And they digitized the public transport system, created an app for managing the bus system and the depot system in Delhi. It has been successfully adopted by the Delhi government. All the buses in Delhi are now on that system. So that gives a live tracking, and that goes to the depot managers on the one hand. On the other, it makes public transport much easier and accessible to the public. They can track live location of the buses and get a right name. So these are couple of shining examples coming from your own institute as part of the cluster initiative. Other areas where we're successfully working on, for example, e-mobility. So the cluster is working on developing charging infrastructure. So as you all know, one of the missions of the government is to mainstream e-mobility so that there's less reliance on petrol and diesel vehicles. In order to do that, there are a number of challenges. One is the lack of charging infrastructure. So the cluster is working on developing low-cost, portable charging infrastructure so that it can be scaled up across the nation. Also, another innovation that's happening is as long as the charging infrastructure draws power from the grid, it's not really green because ultimately the electricity that you're consuming is produced by coal. So unless we tap into more sustainable form of energy, it won't work. So they're working on integrating solar panels with the charging infra and also developing battery packs. So right now the challenge is on the cost front of, on the front of the battery pack. They're trying to reduce the cost down and make the system more efficient and compact so that the entire primary source of energy can be utilized as a solar energy. The other examples are in the area of waste management. You see, in Delhi NCR, you see heaps of landfill sites, and they ultimately are a source of pollution, of diseases, of so many other types of nuisance. So there are technologies, particularly plasma pyrolysis technologies that can bring down the level of waste, reduce them, and not only kind of pyrolyze and convert into gases, but then those gases can be captured and harnessed and converted into hydrogen, bottled and converted into hydrogen. And that again kind of leads to a circular economy and waste to wealth. And that hydrogen is another source of green energy for so many use cases. There are multiple other examples that I can go on and on about, but in the interest of time, I won't say much. The other thing that I would like to mention is in terms of the challenges that are there in scaling up initiatives. So here I was talking about some examples that have been so successful. But in general, you would have seen over the past decade, our country has developed a phenomenal ecosystem in terms of startups, but startups that are based on currently digitizing or creating digital platforms. There is no kind of infra that's ready out there in supporting for R&D related, science-based development. And that's what Drive is trying to create. So two challenges that are there is in terms of creating piloting opportunities. So a lot of R&D work gets done, but beyond the lab stage, it doesn't see the light of the day. Why? Because there are no test beds, there are no sandboxes that are easily available. So what the cluster is trying to do, it's trying to look at the ultimate users, be it from corporates, be it from public bodies, who would have a vested interest in taking those solutions to the market, bringing them in the fold, getting their early buy-in, letting them allow piloting opportunities with their organizations, with their institutes, and then adopting those technologies. Particularly in the healthcare sector, we've been partnering with funds like India Health Fund. Then we have corporate-backed accelerators working with us on healthcare as one of the thematic areas, plus all the other thematic areas that Drive works in. We are partnering with hospitals. We have signed an MOU with GMDA, Gurgaon Metropolitan Development Authority, where the entire healthcare infrastructure can be available and accessible to people who want to test. We have partnered likewise with NCG along the same lines, Haryana Pollution Control Board, and we are also trying to bring in more and more corporations that work on sustainability on the CSR side, right? So there are a number of large funds available within the CSR framework that are actually, some of them end up being a welfare activity, but some of them are doing a lot of work on the ground in terms of, especially in the rural healthcare sector. So we are partnering with those, for example, HCL Foundation, Shipra Misra Foundation, that are actually excuse me, villages, and taking innovations to those villages and providing them with healthcare services, and then that's where the scale up happens and those models can be rolled out. So all these things are available to you under the Drive umbrella. Very recently, just day before yesterday, we hosted our first annual flagship conference, Resolve. It was inaugurated by the Principal Scientific Advisor, Professor Zoom, virtually. On the stage that day, former PSA, Professor Vijay Raghavan, was there to deliver a keynote. The Swedish DG, who's I think the Swedish delegation is visiting you now as we speak. DG Purana was there, delivered a keynote. And then a number of industry people and a number of government bodies were there to participate, and we showcased all the initiatives that Drive had delivered in the span of 18 months, or the past 18 months. Now, what I am looking from you is, because this is an annual conference, right? So the same conference will happen next year in December 2023. Instead of just 2 innovations that we showcase there from IIIT Delhi, I want at least 50 innovations that we can be proud of and showcase to the Principal Scientific Advisor, to the government of India. So with that, I take a pause here. In case there are any questions, you can ask. Otherwise,
Thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful insight on collaboration of health and tech. Request you to stay on the stage, and I would request Dr. Gitanjali Yadav, ma'am. She is a scientist in NITGR New Delhi, to felicitate, ma'am.
The energy in the room has definitely doubled, Shipra ma'am. Definitely.
We are teachers and trainers, and I think what is important is that our next
Thank you so much, ma'am.
we are on track together. So that's a special pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shipra ma'am. Proceeding further, I would like to invite Mr. Utkarsh Uppal, NVIDIA representative, to share his thoughts on digital health, case studies and research. The Deep Learning Solutions Architect. Over to you, sir. Are we all ready to listen to him?
I know you had your lunch just now. I'm Utkarsh. I work as a applied deep learning solutions architect at NVIDIA. Primarily, 5 years back, I was standing on this stage itself, as an IEEE representative. There was some congress we used to have as part of the Delhi section. And it's great, we have been collaborating a lot, specifically with Dr. Tartu's group, because in India, what I'm going to present to you guys, I won't take that much of your time, because what I feel is you guys basically need to understand what's happening globally, and what I'll show you is from an NVIDIA standpoint, because I come from a research background myself, but I'm in industry currently as a deep learning solutions architect. So my background is I work on LLMs a lot, primarily both from a healthcare section also and from a generic Indic languages also, right? But what I want to show you and capture your attention is what is actually happening entirely in terms of around the globe, and where we are, what I feel. I tell them everything. Okay, so how many of you know LLMs? Hands up. Yeah. Ma'am, what is LLM? Do we have the mic for the audience? Large language models. Okay, what is large language model?
So basically, models like Bose, which are like trained on very high amount of data. These are data hungry models.
Okay, these are data hungry models. Cool. So, most of you, you might somewhat, worked on medical imaging, right? How many of you have worked on medical imaging? Sir has worked. Okay. So those who are not aware what medical imaging is, basically, currently, out of the entire healthcare data we have, about 90% of the data, it's imaging data. When I say imaging, it's, primarily your pathology, radiology, these kind of data sets. And primarily, when you talk about AI, which is, a key driver of our generation, all of the research is primarily focused around medical imaging from a healthcare standpoint. Because ultimately, 90% of the data is contributing to that sector, right? But if we take the bigger picture, so when I say the bigger picture, what I mean by that is basically, there is a healthcare as a vertical, there is finance, there is retail, there are other verticals also. Can anyone guess which vertical generates the most amount of data? Any wild races? Anyone? Sorry? Fintech, okay. Anyone at the back? Sorry, aerospace, okay. Anyone else? Laboratory imaging, okay. So currently healthcare only generates the entire, or you can say majority of the data. When I say majority, is quite close in terms of with fintech. So 1/3 of the data we generate every day is of healthcare. And what we believe as industry leaders, that this data from 1/3, which is basically 33 odd percent, it will going to change in upcoming 3 odd years to 40 odd percent. And what is the factor which is contributing to change or generation of this data from 33% to 40%? The sole factor of that is we are only focusing on imaging right now, right? From a healthcare standpoint also. We as a country, we have transitioned very well when we talk about from an AI standpoint for a healthcare domain, right? 5 years back, we started with Clara. Clara is our SDK, which is for healthcare. But the contribution of that 10 to 15%, which is going to come, it's from a life sciences domain as well, right? So it is healthcare and life sciences. Hence, our CEO, Jensen Huang, he believes that the field of digital biology, along with the medical imaging, so it's two fields in tandem. So when I say digital biology, the models, the large language models, they are going to be a huge push, and this thing or this picture is going to change very rapidly. Hence, as we have transitioned from basic AI or basic machine learning based algorithms to your complex deep learning based medical imaging applications, including self-supervised learning, federated learning, those kind of words. And I'll come what those words are basically. The same thing is eventually going to happen for drug discovery, because what is happening in genomics is the cost of generating the sequence, it has now decreased considerably, right? Hence, we are generating a lot of sequences, but analyzing those sequences need a lot of compute, right? And the algorithms, because for example, let's suppose I'm doing a genome sequence analysis, so there are millions of iterations you need to run in terms of, hey, whether the sequence is matching with this or not, and what is the nucleotide variant from the previous one, right? So there are millions of iterations which are needed. And the trivial simulation based algorithms, they are primarily CPU driven. Data is a lot of generated, but the algorithms are still old. They are transitioning eventually. So there are key domains. So when I look at this slide, you can see, we have written FLAIR is one of them. FLAIR is for federated learning. Now what is federated learning? Anyone has heard this term before? So
Basically, don't want to centrally store data because of data protection and privacy. And in that kind of scenario, we want model to come and be trained on data instead of data being shared, especially in hospitals. They don't want to share the data.
yeah, exactly right. So federated learning, it's a general term, right? This paradigm is not for healthcare specifically, right? The term is basically, okay, how many of you have trained the AI model before, irrespective of the field? Raise your hands, like I cannot see at the back. Okay, a few of you have trained a model, AI model before. Cool. So for AI model, if you want to train an AI model, few things are essential. First is you need your data, you need your model or algorithm in more simpler terms, and you need a hardware underlying for that, right? But what happens is, specifically in certain domains or segments, including healthcare, you cannot, expose the data as it is to the algorithm which you are trying to train. Because if anyone asks me, because I see most of you have not trained the AI model, so I'll again backtrack a bit and I'll explain you, what AI is in one line, right? So what AI is, whenever anyone asks me, it's a simple y equal to fx, right? It's a function approximation where we have y, we have x, we just need to find the function. That's it. The entire AI is built on this function approximation. We just need to figure out the black box. So what happens is, in federated learning based approach or in generic approach, we have that entire set of data sitting somewhere, right? We cannot expose it as it is in certain domains like healthcare, finance, right, defense. These kind of domains, what we need to do, we segregate the data identity and we build a sort of server-client architecture, right? It helps us to mask the identity of the data and we can train the black box accordingly. This is federated learning. Most of the medical centers, hospitals, research institutes, specifically in healthcare, this is the technique which is going to be a sort of base. The algorithm or the black box will remain the same. Your approach of getting that black box trained or monitored is going to change. That's federated learning. The second is MONAI. So MONAI is basically, what we did. So our CEO again, Jensen, he's a very developer-friendly mindset. He comes from a sort of tech background himself. So what we did, we along with King's College London, we started an open initiative, which we call MONAI. Now it's visible at the, okay, great. So FLAIR we already talked about. FLAIR is your NV FLAIR or federated learning. Then we have MONAI. So I already told you why we need FLAIR or why we need to use federated learning down the line. Now backtracking a bit again, why we need MONAI is basically you cannot use your algorithms. For example, I am training a model or I am training my black box to segment or to detect my face or people's faces, right? I cannot use that same model or architecture for training on medical dataset, right? Hence what we did, understanding that your medical algorithms and data, it's in different formats. You can have a DICOM image or you can have different modalities in terms of CT scan, ultrasound, MRI, right? What we did, we created a framework, right? So there is PyTorch, there is TensorFlow, which are very basic and very commonly used, right? So those who work or train AI model, you might have heard about these frameworks. Mona is again the same thing, built on top of PyTorch or a basic deep learning framework, but personalized for your medical imaging applications, right? So whenever you want to train a model, let's say brain tumor segmentation, spleen segmentation, your radiology and pathology based application, journal, surgical robotics, the 90% of the so-called data I already talked about, Mona is the place to start with, right? And currently, we proudly as an organization, because since this is an open initiative, so we have more than 50, contributors in terms of Mona as an open initiative. Because we have Clara also. We used to have Clara imaging, and now Mona is an open initiative. So anyone can go on Google and search Mona, and you'll get all the codes and GitHubs for training a basic model. The next thing is basically your hollow scan. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cover different domains of healthcare, because what's happening is, I already talked about drug discovery, I already talked about your large language models for genomics. There is one such segment which always lags behind, because when we discuss from a research standpoint, folks only talk about either drug discovery or imaging, right? Another thing is you're accelerating the devices in your hospitals, right? Or so-called smart hospitals, as we say, right? So third thing which is there is hollow scans, right? So your entire pipeline, I'll show you a few demos what we have done in different hospitals globally, right? What you can do is a robotic surgery based, application which is deployed in a hospital. You can accelerate that application, or you can use the HoloScan stack for building that application from a ground up, right? So there are 5 pillars on this, and you can see at the bottom there are 2 things. One is your AI, and second is your omniverse. Anyone has heard of word omniverse? Okay, sir has heard it. Anyone else? Metaverse. Anyone has heard metaverse? Ma'am, what is metaverse? Okay, you have just heard about it. Okay, cool. So metaverse is so-called what we call Web 3.0, or a kind of, a realistic or a virtual kind of environment we will create, right? Or it's a concept, right? A 3D collaborative environment of sorts. Now, what Omniverse is, it's the stack you need to go inside metaverse, right? Because metaverse is a concept. You need applications which can help you, go to that concept. I'll show you a very interesting demo today, where what we are doing is we have created a digital twin of your surgical and your medical center, right? So all the like students or surgeons who practice, what they can do is they can practice inside a digital twin, right? So it's both AI is also going on, and your upcoming technology, which is your metaverse based technology, it's also going on hand in hand. Any questions, anyone? Yes sir, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is a question that we all are actually from healthcare sector background, and all these are happening from all those technology field. We only know how to deal with the patient and how to deal with the doctor. So how these are going to benefit us? I mean, all those people. I mean, there are lots of people who are getting jobs in this sector only because they have lots of knowledge regarding coding, etc. I mean, they are from computer science background. Even in healthcare sector, they are occupying all those spaces. So how this is going to benefit us, and how can we actually find opportunities for such things?
So,
thank you.
This is a very tricky question of sorts in the sense. I'll take this question in 2 parts in the sense. First is how you can get into this first part. Second is how you can transition, or folks who know coding. For example, so my background is I am from a robotics and AI background, but the research which I did was in healthcare, right? So I am not a kind of hard code based healthcare based background, because my bachelor's it's in computer science and electrical, right? But the objective of AI is not to remove you as a healthcare based pick. You are SME in your domain. I am SME in my domain, right? SME is subject matter expert. AI is only needed, or you are going to leverage AI, right, as an assistive based tool, right? When I say assistive based tool, so let's take an example. Like I'll answer this question from again a stack point of view. The first thing you can see on the screen is label, right? Label is written there. So I am not from a healthcare background, right? So I cannot label a CT scan or MRI which a radiologist or a clinician can do. Correct? What I can do is, you need to label your thousands of images or thousands of CT scans, so that you can basically subsequently either train a model or do that job manually. Am I right? What I need to do is, I need to get a label data from you. You are doing your annotation redundantly, and I cannot identify what is MRI, what is tumor, or what is hematoma, or whatever, right? Now what you can do is, you can label a few CT scans, right? And either you can train yourself if you are capable in terms of you believe that you can train an AI model, or then where this deep learning based, or the folks who you are saying that they know coding, they can train the model and they can give you the model back. What you can do is, now you have a model which you can leverage for segmenting your brain tumor, right? Now your job, it's bit decreased in the sense, some decisions. So for example, I have a MRI again, a customer or a patient comes to me as such. What you are going to do is, you are going to use my black box, and you are going to have the output CT scan or MRI which is segmented, right? Now your job becomes easier in terms of the annotation is in front of you. You can just check whether it looks good or not, and what are the areas which are a bit bad in terms of predictions, and that's it. So the time for diagnosis or pregnancy, or whatever plan we want to make in terms of evaluation, that gets decreased because of such kind of models, right? Does that answer your question? And if you want to start, that's a really good thing in the sense, now instead of 2 persons, we only need 1, right? For example, you can only, you have expertise in both healthcare and deep learning, so you can train your model, and you can only also identify. That's the best thing which can happen. Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk more about how metaverse can benefit healthcare? You just highlighted.
Yeah, I'll come to that. So what we have done is, I gave you an example of training from a labeling perspective also. All the, commonly used tools like, for example, for radiology, we have your 3D slicer is one of the tools, pair is one of the tools, right? We have CVAT for video-based annotation. What we have done is, we have leveraged a so-called AI-based technique which is known as active learning, right? Like federated learning is one, active learning is another one, in which what you need to do is, you need to just manually few parts, and the rest of the thing will happen automatically. Those algorithm or those capabilities of MONAI, which is MONAI label, it's integrated already as part of these tools, which are already there, right? So I have a small video on MONAI before we move to the next segment of HoloScan.
In surgery in general, and neurosurgery specifically, You can fix what you can see. Therefore, visualization is critical in our work.
If you're able to interact and visualize that patient's images, you are better able to plan the correct intervention and make sure that you apply the right intervention the first time.
The way to see MONAI as a toolkit which is dedicated to AI in imaging.
So MONAI is a community-driven effort to bring data science into the clinic. And that's everything from the development of data-driven products and the curation of data to then how we get those insights in front of clinicians looking after patients.
Since adopting the MONAI infrastructure, it's freed us to focus on application to specific clinical problems and catalyze that application in multiple directions.
What we can do through MONAI is that be able to segment the tumor, segment all the critical structures around it, and in surgery provide real feedback data to navigate the surgeon around the tumor to make sure most of the tumor is removed. Therefore, we're providing the patient with the most benefit.
What MONAI then brings is the final layer on top, which is a way to scalably apply artificial intelligence across that entire medical record, across every patient pathway. The potential scale of that is massive. I can see MONAI in every clinic, in every hospital across the world.
Anyone? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can say about MONAI and metaverse. I'm doing a pilot on something very similar to what you mentioned. Using these monoscans, creating an artificial robo of me. I'm a doctor. Then creating my clone of Dr. Amit and giving that patient an experience. For example, I'm a cardiologist and I'm using this dynamic roadmap for my cardiology cath labs. Like companies like Philips and GE, they come up with certain roadmaps, like a navigation tool, just like the Google Maps. We navigate these, get inside the heart. So the brain, and more focused on cardiology. So in surgery, what happens is we create a 3D model and also the robo of me to operate and how we see the outcome of that, how the patient. So that it's all patient information. That how he sees his heart getting operated by the surgeon whom he is visualizing in the Web3 metaverse form. And my colleague had asked that beautiful question of healthcare getting into this huge opportunity. US, Mouse and I, many hospitals are adopting it, and we've been working with them on information exchange. We see a huge game changer. This is especially this meta web.
Okay. So next is HoloScan. So Sir was talking about from a metaverse standpoint what we can do. Again, what we have done is okay. So HoloScan is basically, but primarily we have built this with only one objective in mind, which is accelerating or increasing the accelerating capacity of the medical devices, right? For example, you can see in this case study, we did. So the pipeline includes, first is your input image or your input video frame, which you'll directly get, right? And a segmentation model which is running, right? Primarily, what is running, it's basically, detecting the device, I should not say the devices, but the instruments which are being leveraged for surgery, right? And what you can do is, or what's happening in real time is, that is overlaying on top of the input feed, right? And the entire thing, it can be, analyzed parallelly what is happening. This has application in both robotic-based and human-assisted surgery which you are doing, right? And what we do is, right from the bottom layer, from a hardware perspective also, and from a lower level libraries. Because what we did with this hospital in US is, the frames per second, it was only 6 frames per second which was coming, right? And it's very bad. Those who know, do not know like how bad 6 frames per second is. It's like, you know, me having a video and watching after some certain seconds. And it created a huge negative impact in terms of from a surgical perspective, right? So from both your AI algorithms based and the medical devices which they are, what we did, we basically accelerated the stack at the bottom layer or the application layer, right? So there is something called as CUDA. So whenever you want to use any compute in the backend, you need to talk to that compute through CUDA, right? Or GPU in particular. And what we did, we increased the frames per second from 6 to 60. And parallelly, when we basically mapped this into a digital twin, right? So those who do not know what digital twin is it's basically your avatar, right? Either you can create a digital avatars or you can create a twin of your entire scene which you have, right? So in the upcoming slides, I'll show you, you know, how we created a digital twin, again as another use case which was needed, and it helps all the students and the researchers, you know, and the upcoming surgeons to practice in a, you know, digital format rather than like in a real before that.
Digital twins created in NVIDIA Omniverse can model physically accurate hospital environments, operating rooms, medical instruments, and even a patient's individual anatomy. Medical device developers can use these digital twins to create AI-enabled solutions. One use case is neurosurgery. During a procedure, a surgeon needs to manually reposition a robotic microscope to maintain focus on the region of interest and align it with their instruments. This prolongs the surgery and increases a patient's time under anesthesia. Let's see how this can be improved with an AI-based solution using a digital twin. We start with an NVIDIA IGX computer running the Clara HoloScan SDK, which includes a pre-trained tool segmentation model. Real-time inferencing performance is validated with virtual scenes from Omniverse. In deployment, the IGX platform has been optimized for AI processing and visualization of high-bandwidth data streams. For example, 4K 60 FPS video is processed in less than 15 milliseconds. Without AI tracking, the microscope will not maintain alignment with the surgeon's tools. With tracking, the IGX platform automatically tracks the position of the surgical instruments and controls the real-time movements of the microscope. This can reduce the patient's time in the OR and improve surgical efficiency. The IGX platform is optimized.
So there was one doubt on metaverse. I hope that's answered in terms of the application. Okay. So to wrap up my session, I want to quickly cover from a drug discovery point of view. So a few years back, transformer-based models. So from an AI perspective, they basically, started a lot, right? So what happened was sequences or your proteins, they can also be, analyzed using so-called large language models, right? Hence, what was done is models like AlphaFold, which is again your large language model, to predict your protein structure, right? These types of models, they started, being proposed in the healthcare domain. And the same thing now, since I already talked about your 10% of the data from a drug discovery, to explore the domain of drug discovery. That's BioNemo. And recently we collaborated and we've started an initiative with Broad Institute. It's basically a leading healthcare genomics institute in the US with MIT and Harvard, where we are going to expand the capabilities of this genome-based models in the upcoming few years. So to end my session, I have one small video which will capture entire applications irrespective of whether it's AI in healthcare or whether it's AI in drug discovery.
Bringing clarity to our most important questions.
Diabetic retinopathy can happen if blood sugar stays too high over a long period of time.
And comfort in times of uncertainty.
What procedure am I having today?
You are having a bronchoscopy. Shining a light on a path forward.
You gotta get an OR.
And finding answers when every second counts. I am watching over our frontline heroes, creating a safer place to do their life-saving work, guiding them to faster answers. And delivering care wherever it's needed. I am opening new worlds of discovery and mapping new treatments for every individual. Creating a community to collaborate with thousands. Sharing knowledge that can heal millions. I am AI, brought to life by NVIDIA and brilliant healers everywhere.
Thank you, everyone. For a moment, and I would request Dr. V K Singh sir to participate. Sir, please.
Please give a loud round of applause for such an insightful session. It was an eye-opener for us as a doctors and clinicians as well as for people from tech background as well. Small question.